Hello, I'm Luca De Giglio, and this is the Web3 in Travel podcast, where you can learn about crypto, blockchain, and how the new internet will change travel.
Welcome back to the Web3 in Travel podcast with, I've been away for 9 months. My last episode was in January. So what happened? Well, what happened is that AI happened, I would say. I've been very deep in AI at many levels, and I just realized why. I kind of knew it, but I just cleared it in my mind a little bit. Basically because I have two big frustrations which AI solves. Frustration number one has always been that I have ideas, but I cannot develop them. I'm not a developer. I have tried to be a developer in the past. I realized that I'm not good at it. I can do things. I did the booking platform, the one I call the Airbnb before Airbnb. I developed it myself. I had learned PHP, etc. But I'm not good at it. And I also realized in the time that to be a good programmer, you have to program all the time. You need to be 100% on it. So with AI now, I can program, I can develop. They call it vibe coding. I don't really like this name, but in a way, you just say, you tell the computer what you want to be done, and the computer writes the code for you, and it works. Now, I'm not gonna get into the discussion if it's better, if it's worse, and etc. etc. What I know is that I couldn't do it before, and I can now. So I'm doing it. The second frustration I've always had comes from crypto. I love crypto, but you cannot do many things with it. I come from a time where you could do basically nothing other than buy Bitcoin and hold it and learn about it and talk with other people how good it is, etc. And then I went through a time which started in the 2020 DeFi summer where you could finally do something, but that was basically trading tokens and swap them and lending and borrowing and so financial things, which I never found very interesting. I mean, they were very interesting for me because I could do something with crypto, but I had no prior experience in finance, right? And then I went into the Web3 in travel rabbit hole, basically trying to do things beyond that, and this hasn't happened for a long time. Even today, this is 7 years since I launched Trips Community. There's not really much yet you can do. Now, I know this could be interpreted as like nothing is working. Actually, no, you can do much more, and we're gonna actually see today what you can do and what's happening today. But for me, it was like, create the alternative decentralized OTA. Yeah, we're not there yet for that. So there was this frustration like, yeah, with crypto, you can do this and that, but adoption is difficult because of wallets, or you have to maybe renounce a bit to the decentralization if you want to do things which retail can actually use. So it's always been like, okay, you cannot, there's trade-offs, right? And with AI, actually today you can do many things which people can use easily from tomorrow morning without actually solving a real problem and without any specific effort. So these two solutions through my frustration dragged me into AI very, very deeply. And as I feel that the next step is AI plus crypto, and I talked about it, and things could actually be done today, I haven't yet, done anything with this. So I decided to come back and see. Well, I come back in the sense that I never really wanted to leave. I just, I was waiting for the good moment to do the next episode. Then I went traveling in Asia for a few months. So time has passed and I haven't done an episode. And I also lost a bit touch with the Web3 in travel industry exactly when it's exploding in a way. And this, I always do these things. I'm there when nobody's there, and then when it gets really, when you actually can do things, I get distracted by something else, and I don't want to do this with Web3 travel. So today this episode is about catching up. I will catch up, and if you haven't, you can catch up with me today. So how do you catch up nowadays? You go in ChatGPT or Claude or something, and you say, give me a deep research about the latest, 6 months developments in Web3 travel. I did it with ChatGPT today, and we're going to go through the results. If you remember, I had some update episodes in the past where I would go through Twitter, X, and this is the new way. Let's see if it's better. So let's go. So it starts talking about NFT airline tickets and booking platforms, and it mentions the TravelX NFT tickets platforms for the Argentina airline Flybondi and others like Air Europa and Mexico's Viva Aerobus. So it basically looks like it's been picking up. We talked about TravelX in the past, and there's an article from March of this year saying that they reached 100 million transactions on Algorand, referring to 2024. Now, okay, 100 million transactions cannot be 100 million tickets. We should go a bit deeper into this, but this is not the point now. We just go, we see what happened in general, and then we will see. It mentions Pintada. On the hotel side, startups like Pintada have tokenized hotel reservations, but I think this is old news. Let me see. Well, it looks like they actually shut down because their website is down, and I don't have any fresh news about them. So the ChatGPT research here is not very good with timing because I asked for news in the last 6 months, and the article is surfaced are over a year old. And then it says an interesting thing, which is a concept gaining traction through platforms like Travala's proposed buyback marketplace on Camino network, where travelers can reserve non-refundable bookings, and then it links to web3intravel.com, which is our website for the conference. I think it's mixing up a startup which was buying back, had this business model where you can buy back bookings on Camino network, but that's not Travala for sure. So careful when you do deep research, it's not that smart. I have to admit that I think it's using the light version of deep research because I kind of use them all for this month, so it's maybe not the clever one. Maybe I should have done this with Claude. Anyway, let's keep going. Travala, crypto-friendly travel agencies. Travala, they surpassed 100 million in annual booking revenue in 2024, which is double compared to the previous year, with a 78% of all bookings done with cryptocurrencies. This is good. It keeps growing. I talk about Travala. I always said this is kind of a use case where it's what you can do today, but it's not where we want to be. But actually, they're doing well apparently. And here, that's surprising. They had an agreement with Trivago, which has 2.2 million properties, which now are bookable via crypto. So Trivago users selecting a Travala listed hotel are redirected to Travala, where they can pay 100. Can pay with many currencies, of course. So that could be interesting. That's something I would like to analyze a bit closer. So nice. Other crypto-friendly agencies like Destinia and Alternative Airlines also have integrated crypto payments. Okay, I've never heard about them. We will kind of study them in the future. Then it talks about UpTrip. I've talked about this. It's a Lufthansa Innovation Hub project for loyalty programs as NFTs. And it's giving me here a bit old news. And then it says that American Express made headlines in late 2025, which is now, by introducing blockchain-based travel stamps, collectible NFT stamps on Base. Interesting. As always, you never know these projects like Uptrip and now American Express, what they really are. It is just something they do at their innovation labs, which are disconnected from the main business, to show that they are on top of things. So it's like more marketing stunts. Or let's put it in a different way. It's something people who do them really believe in it, right? Because there are people who are in the innovation side of things. But the main company says, kind of keep it compartmentalized, saying, okay, do your thing there, try it. If, we'll see. They give some funding and then they get some press, and that's all they want. That's been, I would say, 90% of Web3 in travel projects, corporation projects so far. But I was talking to Pablo the other day, Pablo from Camino Network, the CEO. He's saying things have changed. They had their, I couldn't go, but they had their conference in Crete a month ago or something, or this month. And he says that this year corporations seem to start taking this seriously. So maybe not. When I see something like American Express on Base, the first thing I want to do is go on the Base blockchain and see what's actually happening on chain. I don't have time for it now, but that's what I would like to do, to check if there's real activity. Oh, here's some other news. Trip.com. Trip.com is like, I don't know if you know it, but it's like a booking.com with many more things. I've used it extensively in China during my travels this year, and it's a very good app. You get hotels, you get transfers, you get trains, you get experiences, everything in one app. Very well done. And they had launched in mid 2023 a 10,000 piece collection of NFTs called Trekkie. I remember going to in London at WMT and asking at the Trip.com stand about these NFTs, and nobody knew anything about that. They have no idea. Well, it shut down. And of course, anybody who bought these NFTs lost all their money. So careful. You can be rug pulled by an anonymous person on the internet, and you can be rug pulled by a big corporation too. So NFTs, rug pulls are possible at every level. On the other hand, we have stuff like Flybondi and Emirates. They have found success leveraging NFTs. Flybondi's NFT tickets allow easy ticket transfers, and Emirates, which launched a first NFT collection in 2022, and I remember about that, signaled plans for blockchain-based loyalty experiences to engage travelers. All right, these are just signals. We want to see hard data on chain. But, at least it didn't shut down. All right, then it goes on and it talks about Camino. But again, it gives a general introduction to Camino. But it tells me something interesting here. They made this... They call it a partnership with Sleep.io to enable on-chain cancel for any reason travel insurance, where if you get a cancellation, you got an instant stablecoin payout for your trip cancellation, rather than going through the traditional claim paperwork, which if you ever had an insurance claim, know that it's basically a way for you to kind of stop claiming money. They make it so hard that you just give up unless it's a big amount, and that's interesting. And this concept of automatic on-chain contract-based claims is not new. There was still back in 2017 this startup called Etherisc, which did an ICO. They raised about $50 million, and it's gone through a period in which they wanted to do this for airlines, and now I see they are doing. They pivoted to insurance in Africa for crops and stuff. So still alive. Decentralized insurance protocol, so still alive and trying to find product market fit, I suppose. But yeah. So now we have seen this concept being applied on Sleep.io. Again, if I had time right now, we'll go through Camino Network, scan and see what happens on chain. Maybe we're gonna have Pablo on and talk about all the applications Camino is having, because I'm sure there's interesting stuff there. Oh, look at that! Camino also announced a partnership with Monerium, which is the stablecoin euro, which I use because I use the Gnosis Pay card from Gnosis, Gnosis. And when I use this card, this is the card that I use mostly. I use this card, and I actually, behind the scenes, it uses the euro from Monerium, which I can recharge with a Revolut transfer or sending the crypto part, like having some USDT, exchange them for stablecoin Euro E from Monerium, and then send it there. So they made an agreement. Interesting. Pablo says, by leveraging Monerium's on-chain euro for settlement, we can drastically reduce payment costs and improve the bottom line for travel businesses. Never listen to me. You thought I was going to say never listen to Pablo. No, never listen to me. I did an episode, or maybe a couple of years ago, in which I said that the least interesting things about Web3 and travel are payments, because payments will be sold by credit cards. So crypto payments will be sold by credit cards. And that has proven true, of course. As I just mentioned, Gnosis, it's an interface from a credit card to do the payments. But what's actually happening this year is that stablecoins are the big thing, thanks to the Genius Act, basically a law in the United States. I don't even know if it's a law, but it's an act which basically says stablecoins are legal and welcome. And we are seeing a lot of attention on stablecoin payments for the very simple reason that payments on the traditional networks are slow and expensive. Stablecoin payments are super fast and super cheap. That's how simple it is. And until we had this regulatory revolution in a way, you couldn't even think about stablecoins because it wasn't clear if it was legal, right? Stripe is launching a blockchain to manage their own crypto payments, stablecoin payments. That's how big this thing is getting, right? So I definitely made a mistake at the time. What's actually happening, and what may be happening this year and next year, is payments are going to be what brings crypto into mainstream in Web3 and travel. We'll see. Again, I haven't really followed for a while, so I can't say, but certainly looks like this at the moment. In November 2024, Lufthansa Group partnered on a blockchain-based B2B payment solution using Camino via Finmont's platform to record and reconcile travel agency payments in non-IATA channels. So these examples illustrate how blockchain is being applied under the hood. Yeah, that's what's happening. We can't give too much blockchain stuff to users because of the technical challenges. But under the hood, in the engine, why not? It's I have this metaphor about what crypto is, which kind of explains also all the scams in crypto. So crypto is a technology for moving value. Okay, that's many other things, but in part is also that. A technology to move value. We already have technologies to move value, right? We have payment networks and SEPA and SWIFT, credit cards, etc. These are all technologies to move value. But those technologies are the equivalent of landline, like, the landline cables. So those who are as old as me remember when the internet first came up, we were using 56K modems, so very, very slow hardware to make internet, to use the internet, and they were using the phone cables. The phone cables were conceived for voice, not for data. And then now we have broadband, right? Crypto is the broadband of value. So today on the internet, you don't need to go through the phone anymore. Actually, today the phone goes through the internet. So we're using dedicated cables, right? And the internet is much faster, it's much cheaper, you can do more things. You can do more scams. You can do AI scams. You can call from abroad for basically free. While before you couldn't do that, it was expensive to do scams from abroad. Now it's cheap, etc., etc. So crypto is simply a much more efficient way to move value on the internet, or in general in the world, because now the world runs on the internet. And it's so much better. It's not 10x better. It's like 100 times better, that it can only be obvious that sooner or later the travel industry will catch up and start moving value not on the internet but on chain with crypto. Crypto is so much better in many ways, right? Much faster, much cheaper. And as now it is legal to do that, I know it's legal. It's a very basic simplification here. It's never been illegal or completely legal. The feeling is that you can do it, right? Let's say we are seeing, and we're gonna see corporations actually using crypto. Maybe they're not gonna use crypto directly. Maybe Stripe simply brings crypto to them. Maybe some other projects through Camino Network will do it. We don't know how this is going to happen, but crypto may become the backbone of value transfer for the travel industry in the future. All right, so next section, decentralized identity and security. I'm pretty weak on this. I don't know much about that, but the idea is that instead of going with a passport, you use a QR code which proves that you are the owner of that passport. And so to make everything kind of easier, rather than showing a piece of paper, you're gonna go through with a mobile wallet. And there's movement around there. Let's not go into detail. There are just names and DTC, DID, these acronyms. What I can say is that, again, a bit like payments, yes, we will. I'm pretty sure we will use digital ways to prove who we are in the future. We may be using crypto-based ones, or we may simply be using public key, private key systems without crypto involved, without blockchains involved. Or we may use ZK systems where you just give them the information that you are this person, you don't give all the rest of the information. We don't know how, but I'm pretty sure that going around with a piece of paper is going to soon feel a bit inefficient. Next section, smart contracts in travel operation, and it goes on talking about pilot projects where NFTs can be can buy regional tour tickets from visitor app and stuff like this. And he's also mentioning Winding Tree, which shut down last year. And it's saying that Winding Tree Vision, which couldn't find, according to Maxim, one of the founders, couldn't find a product market fit. Now it says that the gap it leaves is being filled by efforts like Camino, which are better aligned with the current industry support and technical maturity. Camino is much closer to the travel industry than Winding Tree was. So they certainly understand much better the needs. Camino is becoming less, in my opinion, a blockchain for the travel industry. I remember having these conversations with them even on the podcast, in which I was saying you don't need a blockchain for that. You can use any blockchain. You could use Base for what you do. It's becoming more like an aggregator, which makes things happen. It's becoming what is really moving the industry toward crypto, educating the industry. So this role is very important because nobody's doing that. And if things happen on their chain, even better. I suppose that it's better to have a dedicated blockchain for that when you onboard people, because then, you have kind of, I don't know how to say that. Maybe that was the good point about winding trees. Like, imagine a travel industry where a few companies are on a blockchain and a few others are on a different blockchain. It's better that all of them are on the same blockchain. It's impossible that all of them will be on the same blockchain forever. But if all of them are on one blockchain and then they are also on other blockchains, at least we have a central place where communication and data is not fragmented in a way. So anyway, what I'm seeing, which I like about Camino now, is that it's basically took this role of bringing travel on chain, and that's very precious. Then it goes on talking about funding, investments, and M&A activity. And regarding funding and investments, it goes fishing back to stuff from back 2022 and a bit later. Not much has happened in 2025, according to this research. Then mergers and acquisitions. Well, okay, in short, not much. Accelerators and new funding programs. And here it talks about us, about TechTrace, with the batches we did. It says that Me Protocol, as you may remember, won the first prize. And then it talks about also the Camino Network grant programs and hackathons. They're having one in Barcelona pretty soon. So if you're interested, if you're around there, check them out. I've been once in Munich, and it's interesting, very interesting. From the regulatory and legal developments point of view, we have MiCA, Markets in Crypto Assets, which is the European Union regulation, which basically makes things clear. Now, have I actually read it and do I know exactly what it means? No, because it's something I'm not really interested. I should be, I know. I'm not really I'm not very interested in the regulatory part of things. But apparently it's a good one because at least it made things clear. Monerium, for instance, is issued by a licensed electronic money institution under EU e-money laws and is fully MiCA compliant. So we have a compliant stablecoin, euro, nonetheless. That's huge. That's really huge. What's not huge and is pretty annoying is the AML rules for crypto, called the travel rule, in which if you want to accept crypto, you basically have to do it in the proper way, probably in the same way as you would do it for the normal payments. I remember this being a bit difficult because, of course, people who write the laws often don't know anything about technology, and you kind of had to KYC your wallet or something like that. I can't remember, but yeah, let's see where this goes. Compliance is always annoying, but it legitimizes. So if we can have compliant payments with crypto, we also have legitimized payments with crypto, and many companies which before wouldn't even touch crypto now can do it. The question is always how much compliance is needed. Is it that stupid KYC thing? Is it very heavy? Like, I don't know, if you want to use a wallet, you have to go through KYC. That would be crazy. Or is it an easy and light way to make payments compliant? I don't know now. So there's been attention also on the consumer protection for NFTs. As you see what happened with Trip.com with their NFTs with the shutdown. People should be protected. And now they are discussing, for instance, what happens when you have an NFT which represents your flight. And the idea is that it should have the same protections, right? So resale of NFT tickets raised, for instance, anti-scalping concerns. So what can we say? There is attention. The question is, will this bring good or bad regulation? I guess this is the thing. Now, Europe is starting to realize that we are being left behind by the rest of the world because of overregulation. And I don't know what's happening in Brussels. It looks like they realized that, but I don't know if it's in their DNA to be that. I don't know. Again, I'm not good at legislation stuff. So, but we've seen basically the United States making everything open and legal in a way. In crypto, we call it crime season. So maybe a bit too much. Let's see. There's always this regulatory arbitrage in which if you want to attract innovation, you have to let people experiment without being afraid of going to jail. On the other hand, you want to protect people. It's always a difficult balancing act. China, for instance, has banned cryptocurrency trading. Who knows, right? But on the other side, Hong Kong, that was 2023, so it's old stuff, open up crypto with new licenses. We'll see. Major events and conferences, it mentions our conferences in 2023 and 24 in Barcelona and Umbria, and the Tech Tree Startup Finance. But again, this is from last year. I was asking for stuff from this year. So this year there's been basically nothing. We haven't done the conference because we felt there was not much we could show which was interesting. Maybe next year. So this year we basically skipped it. Then again, it talks about ETB Berlin, again from 2 years ago. There's been the Code Travel Hackathon in Berlin in April from Camino, again, but this is last year. It goes back to last year and 2 years ago. So, 2024, I would say nothing. Sorry, 2025, nothing. But something has changed. It says that companies have shifted from what is Web3 to how can we implement a Web3 pilot. I hope we are already farther, and we're going to maybe ask this, Pablo, if he can come on the show. Are we past the pilot? Are we actually start building real product which people can use? I really hope so. Thought leaders. Luca De Giglio, which is me, but it's going back to too many years back. So Juan Pablo from Lafos from TravelX, Ralph Uzbek, Pablo Castillo, and Thomas Stirniman from Camino. He's going even back to Maxim Ismailo from Winding Tree, Juan Otero from Travala. I don't see 2025 here, so old stuff. I guess this is it. Some news, okay, some things to analyze a bit deeper. I think we have to talk to Pablo. Pablo is the guy who knows about these things. I'm not that guy anymore, at least this year. So let me ask him to come on the show and tell us what happened. Thank you for following this today, and talk to you next time.
And we're done. Thank you for listening to this episode. For more insights, follow me on Twitter at Tripluca, TRIPLUCA. If you enjoy my podcast and want to support it, head on to podcast.web3intravel.com, 3 is a digit, and mint an NFT. If you want to sponsor it, you can do it at the same page. I will mention you in the podcast, and your name will appear on all donation NFTs for a while. Thank you, and ciao.